Welcome to The Turnover. The format is simple. Take 3 multifamily media network hosts with a maintenance background and put them together. The twist is that, like maintenance in the apartment industry, they have to respond to the unknown. You see, 2 of the hosts don't know what the topic is. The fun part is there's no limit and you get to listen in. So what ideas are we turning today?
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Work, where we were just talking about I recorded yesterday, which I got to tell you guys about.
Okay, Mark,
here we go.
Mark,
Jesus.
I
Reset.
want you to put a sound bite, something or another, over Chris going, that's got to happen.
Oh, that's why we don't hit record until we're ready to record. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of The Turnover with my dear friends Paul Rhodes and Mark Sharp. We were just talking about we don't know what's going to happen, and then something happened, and then we had to restart. So I'll just pull back the curtain. You know, it's okay. Apparently, I don't even know what show I'm on today. But I am very happy to be here for this episode of The Turnover with Paul and Mark. Guys, want to say anything before we jump in to this week's turn?
Hi.
All right. Let's just jump right into it. So I wanted to share with you both our brand new Wheel of Question.
Whoa.
A new turning wheel.
We have a new turning wheel for this new series.
Why does that say bend over?
Oh, that's a really good, maybe we'll pick question 4. So each of the questions has a little bit of a theme. Thankfully, our industrious producer, who happens to be my wife, reviewed all of the questions and that we had submitted and came up with these fun little tags for each of these questions. So don't really know the question, but we have a fun little tag.
Thank you, producer.
Thank you.
I will definitely thank her. And I appreciate everything that she does for the turnover. So let me just spin the wheel. Let's see what happens, boys.
Let's do it.
Spin, spin, spin. We have 10 questions on the wheel. And this question is going to be question number 2.
No one is
talking. So,
Well, it's definitely
without
not
further
this
ado,
show.
let's find out what
Ray
question
Hespen with Property Meld. I got a question for you all. I'm curious what you all think is going to be one of the biggest changes within the next 5 years that nobody's talking about in maintenance.
Ouch.
Wow. What is the biggest question that in the next 5 years that nobody is talking about in maintenance? You can tell Ray Hespen, CEO and founder, co-founder of Property Meld. He is a very forward thinker. He is an innovator, and that's the kind of a question that I expect from somebody like Ray is, futuristic thinking is thinking,
right.
The next 3 to 5 years. We're always talking about the right now. And so I think it's a really good opportunity for us let's talk about, what are we looking at? What is no one talking about now that we're worried about for 5 years? So with that, let me throw it over to who wants to jump in first.
I would like to ask a question because I just want to make sure I remembered his question properly. So what is the biggest change that we see in 5 years, or what is the biggest question not being asked?
Yeah, it's more about what is the question not being asked. Do you want me to replay it, Mark?
Can we please? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Ray Hespen with Property Meld. I got a question for you all. I'm curious what you all think is going to be one of the biggest changes within the next 5 years that nobody's talking about in maintenance.
Okay. Biggest changes within the next 5 years that no one is talking. Okay. Thank you.
No. Nothing says we can't replay the question. So Paul, do you have any initial thoughts?
My initial thought is shorter than 5 years.
And that is within the next 2 years, I think, because of technology and the two words that we avoid like the plague, maintenance leaders at the on-site level will be both outsourcing administrative tasks, meaning there will be less data entry and less direct sitting at a computer. I think that because of labor shortage, and it's easier to hire an administrator than it is to hire somebody right now that will go turn a wrench. But I think that's shorter term. 5 years out, I think within the next 5 years, technology companies, prop tech, will begin to move away from work order administration and from work delegation tasks and get into predictive analytics with our buildings. In other words, if you have a X manufacturer air conditioning system, provided it was installed under these conditions, you can expect X amount of years out of it. And that ends up getting used and factored into acquisitions and dispositions.
So I have a slightly different take, and I don't know if it's more of I think it will be a challenge. But one of the things that I'm really starting to see and hear, and there's been more of a groundswell, I think, this year that I have seen and heard, is trades coming back. I'm seeing lots of articles. I'm seeing, reading about a lot of workforce development programs. States are starting to fund it. We're starting to see it a little bit more coming back in school, especially with the cost of colleges. Mark, we can get into that either later in this episode, as I see you in your Yukon Pride shirt. And my daughter is going to be entering college within the next year. We're starting to see and hear more parents, more schools really saying, you know what, maybe college isn't the right path for you personally. Maybe it is going into a trade. I literally was having a conversation with somebody yesterday that was so excited that their son has enrolled in a vocational plumbing program as his post-education. Now, that kind of like blew me away. Was it like, no, he is going to a union trade school to really focus on being a plumber, which for me, so I think the challenge is going to be, we're going to see, hopefully it's a hope and a challenge. We're going to see more of that over the next 3 to 5 years. Right. But the challenge is we're going to have this influx of new people as we have our great resignation that we've been talking about. We've always said around 2030 was going to be the time that we were hitting a real break point in industry professionals versus the need. Paul, I remember you talking about it literally 10 years ago when we first met. Was the first time I saw you speak on stage was like, hey, we got a problem in like 10 years and we're almost there. Right. So I think that's going to be the really interesting thing, because you're going to have less people to train new people coming in that are coming from a schooled environment into a, actual working environment. And that may be a really big challenge, is how are we going to bridge that gap in 5 years with the lack of maintenance professionals that we currently have and the influx coming in? So something to think about. And I think that's probably going to be one of our larger challenges. And Paul looks like he wants to talk more about it, and we will unpack that on a future episode.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Got to keep the train moving here. Got to keep the train moving.
I kind of wanted Paul to talk. I saw that face in the corner of my eye, and it's just
he's getting there.
The question I had, and actually what popped in my head, no, I think it'll take us a different tangent. Mark, 5 years from now, what is not being talked about? What's happening?
Here's what I'd like to see. Let's go there. Because we're always talking about now. We're always Chris, you mentioned in the intro, we're always talking about right now. Let's talk about the future. Here's what I'd like to see in 5 years. I would like to see finally the point, or finally the just where maintenance finally gets the appreciation it deserves and it needs. I'd like to see I'd like to see property management companies and owners implementing training programs for their people. I would like to see companies investing in what is he doing?
No,
I can't
keep
even
going.
finish.
It's my
Keep
magic
going.
wand. I'm looking for my wizard hat. Where's the fairy dust? Where is the?
No, listen, Paul, but here's
Hey, I'm right
I
there
understand.
with you.
No, I understand what you were. I get it, because it's like, that's going to have to be a wish, right? But I think there are enough people, not enough, but there are more and more people like us who are out there advocating for maintenance, advocating for training, advocating for professional development. And within a 5-year period, I think we're finally going to start making some waves on that front. At least I hope we do, because you've got a lot of people out here begging for, give me a plan. Here, if I do A, will I get to B? And if I do B, will I get to C? What does that look like? And what do I need to get there? And I think the more we're out there talking about it, the more it's going to happen. It's got to.
Mark, I agree. We have seen a huge growth in the recognition of maintenance professionals in the in the PC, in the post-COVID world, right? We've really seen it. There are, national recognition programs. We have vendors, and I'm not naming them. We have supplier partners that have created recognition programs, right? They're spotlighting maintenance professionals. That I will plug the National Apartment Association's program, Maintenance Legends, which is, sponsored by HD Supply. This is not an ad for either one of them, but these are nationally recognized programs where it's not how quickly did you turn the wrench, not quickly how did you replace the fan blade. These are spotlighting true maintenance professionals and telling the stories of what they're doing every single day. I think, Mark, that's where we're going, and I'm here for it. And you're right, with people like us, people like these supplier partners doing that recognition, it covers your point of getting the recognition, but it also covers my point of getting more people in the door. Because we've talked about this in the past. We have a bad PR department, and we're starting to see us promoting ourselves, which is I'm a huge advocate for, have been for years. You got to promote yourself. But we're also seeing the industry and partners promoting us. And it's not, hey, those maintenance guys and gals, those are some great guys and gals. It is really talking about the success. So, Paul, we have time. You were itching at the end of my sermon, so I kindly defer the floor to you.
The thought that pinged off of the inside of my brain is we're talking 5 years. So you brought it up, 2030. What that means to me is Bob or Janet, brand new entry-level maintenance technician that starts next week, is the maintenance leader in 2030. One, are you, maintenance leader, ready to develop them? And two, the people who are already, like the person that was hired in 2022, 2021, they're the ones who are going to mentor and demonstrate to Bob and Janet what those next 5 years look like.
Yeah.
How's that going to go in your head? Does that fill you with dread? And I think this is a question for the audience. Does that in your organization fill you with dread or fill you with hope?
So while our audience chews on that, I'm going to throw out another question for our audience and maybe you guys to, on this topic. This is the road that we're down now, right?
Yep.
This is the rabbit hole that we are going to die in. I mean, go down.
We're not dying. We're living. Living in a hole.
While you were talking, Paul, is the new hires today are the leaders in 5 years.
Mhm.
In some cases, they may be the leaders in 6 months, but that's a conversation for another day. Okay.
It happens.
Let's just assume that, that those leaders, those new hires today are the leaders of tomorrow. I love the question from Ray, and I've gotten, you hear, especially in prop tech, we've heard it a lot. We hear it a lot just in general, like, hey, what do you want to be in 5 years? We've all heard that, our entire careers, right? I have always subscribed to the, well, this is what I want to do in 5 years. But the next question that Ray didn't ask that I'm asking is, what are you doing today to either address those challenges or be ready for those challenges in 5 years? And Paul, this goes back to what the question that you just asked, right? And bringing it back to, we are talking about the now. While we're talking about the future, we're talking about the now. Whether you're talking about training, whether you're talking about preventive maintenance, whether you're talking about capital planning. Cool. You can do, I just finished budget season, had to do a whole bunch of 5-year plans, whole bunch of 5-year CapEx plans. And what was I doing? The entire time I was sitting there going, well, I don't know what I'm going to need in 5 years.
Yeah.
And
And that happens to a lot of us, because there's a lot of times you don't know, but what you have to do is you have to build it and say, well, if I do this in year 1, I might not need this in year 2. I might need it again in year 3, or I'm going to have to spend X number of dollars and then X plus in year 2, X plus plus in year 3. So we do that regularly. We're planning for 5 years, and hey, how are we going to get there? But I'm not having a lot of conversations about, if I have identified a challenge as this influx of unskilled or not familiar with our industry labor, what are we doing now to be ready for that in 5 years? Are we solidifying onboarding plans? Are we putting in systems and processes that people are used to? Are we giving for lack of a better term, now my gray is coming out. Are we giving the kids today what they need to be successful, or what they're looking for? Mark, to your point,
that's it.
Is, they want a roadmap. They want, I was happy for a paycheck.
Right.
When I started working at a college, I figured out that today they want roadmap. They want accolades. They want a plan, so, what do you think we can do? So I guess here's the question is, what can we do now to prepare for the challenges for 5 years from now? What are some of the things that you think leaders and operators and even boots on the ground technicians and maintenance supervisors may be able to do now to start preparing? Because it is a journey. It's not a flip a light switch and you're a maintenance supervisor tomorrow, or you've learned all the HVAC because you just flipped a switch. What can we do?
Yeah. I did a study. It was maybe a little over a year ago, or I don't know, 9-10 months ago or something, about the Ritz-Carlton experience, right? How Ritz-Carlton employees from top to bottom, from the CEO to the brand new house cleaner or brand new technician or brand new desk employee, all of these individuals receive 90 hours of training a year. 90. The average multifamily maintenance person receives 7. All right. So,
and those 7 hours were spent online, onboarding, watching fair housing videos.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Not
fair housing, drug-free workplace, sexual harassment.
Right.
OSHA,
Sure. So the difference between the culture of the Ritz-Carlton and the culture of multifamily, right? You've got all this investment in someone's future versus we're going to give you the bare minimum because we just need you to start working. And the whole concept behind it was, what is it going to take for us here to get to some level? Of course, like 90, maybe unachievable for property management, but maybe 20 is better, maybe 40. that's at least 400% better than what we're doing now. And the studies show that if you invested in professional development, if you invested in training, if you invested in tools, if you invested in your people, they were 94% more likely to stay with your company, less likely to leave to go find another position where they could make another $1 an hour or $2 an hour. So we're going to have to wake up and start putting plans together, because like you said, Chris, like Paul, you agreed, the new people in our industry want a plan. They want to know, if I'm going to work for you, where does this take me? Like you, Chris, I was happy to just get a paycheck. I was happy to just go to work, fix some stuff, get a check so that I could play golf on the weekend, or like whatever it was. Like, I just wanted a paycheck. I don't say I didn't care about my future, but when I was young and in this, my future was my future. I was living in the now.
Right.
And people are not living in the now anymore. They want to know, if I'm going to invest my time in you, I want a return on that investment. What is it?
Paul, close us out.
My answer to your question, to kind of go forward, and Chris, it popped in my head, the survey that you were a part of with NAA, the maintenance pain survey, that was one of the big findings, was a path, was a direction to go, which that's where my answer to your question of what do we do now to prepare for 5 years from now, my answer is the next best thing. That's what we do right now.
Yep.
In other words, as a leader in an organization, I take a look at my organization and I say, what do I need years from now? If I need 3-5 years from now, if as an organization, we're expected to grow, we're going to acquire, we look to, from a realistic standpoint, if we currently have 50 properties, and if we look to go to 75 properties, that means I need 25 more maintenance leaders and their teams to happen. Yes, those are going to come from that area, wherever it is we buy the property, blah, blah, blah. But not only that, we have a current turnover rate with our current 50 properties. How many, based on past experience, how many of those maintenance supervisors are we going to turn over? That means 35 between now and 5 years from now. I have to have a structure in place to have 35 maintenance leaders today. Is my organization set to develop 35 maintenance leaders? 10 of them, based on that rough math, 10 of them will have to come from inside my properties. The remaining 25 are going to have to come from outside. So the next best thing that I need to work on, I got to structure an onboarding, not just day one with the 7 hours of e-learning. No, it is 3 months later of the, hey, maintenance supervisor, do I have a plan on teaching my maintenance supervisor how to delegate work? Do I have a plan to teach my maintenance supervisor how to compare vendors so that they know which is a good deal for painting an apartment and which is a bad deal for painting an apartment, when to go for cheapest price, when to go for it's worth it paying a little bit more, how to negotiate the nickel and diming that just in that painting example gives us. If we're not ready to teach our maintenance supervisors, who maybe 6 months ago were just got their EPA certification and now we say they're supervisor material, we've got to do whatever the next best thing is. In that made up example, create a career path. I think that's kind of where we end up landing. For so many of our management companies, we don't have a career pathway laid out for our team members. And that is an essential piece to know what direction we're going. So the answer to the question from that began Ray Hespen, what do we expect to see that no one's talking about in 5 years, to what do we do now based on that information, is one, as an organization, pick out what that next best 5 years direction is going to be. And two, do the next best thing to aim you on that path and get there. That's my answers. And that's, I think, is the summary.
Yeah, that is absolutely summarizes this fantastic discussion. I'd like to thank Ray Hespen, from CEO and co-founder of Property Meld, for submitting that question to the turnover. We always bring it back to what's going on today. You can have a crystal ball and you can look into the future, and that is great. But it's about what you're doing now to affect your future. And I think, Paul, you captured that really well, is identify what you can do now and knowing what the plans are.
And the crystal ball for the future says that mid-September, we're going to be in South Dakota with Ray Hespen at MX Maintenance Summit. So there's the crystal ball right there. I could see in the future.
You could see in the future. That's
crazy.
Absolutely insane. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of The Turnover with Chris Caramonica, Paul Rhodes, and Mark Sharp. We will see you next time, where we will turn over another question.
See ya.
See ya.
Now it's your opportunity to respond and let us know what we missed. If there's any topics of conversation you'd like us to turn over, head over to multifamilymedianetwork.com and leave us a message.